Since Computex anticipated one brand and a couple of products, as you can see, we're going to talk today about VALKYRIE, and what you saw at Computex, we just had, I think, a glimpse of it, because we have a couple of AIOs cases, well, one case actually, but in two varieties, and you'll see both, but in different segments of a video. One will be time-lapse and one will be actual review for you guys to actually know more about that case. But regardless of that, first, we're going to start with an AIO with an outstanding price, great performance, and easy installation. All three in one. So we're talking here about VALKYRIE V360 LITE. This is in white version, and you also have it in black, so you can choose and match. But it comes with pre-installed three 120mm fans. We're having quite easy installation, and when we're talking about brackets placing on AMD processors, since we're still on 7900 X3D, I'm still on 7900 X3D, well, basically it kind of reminds of Lee and Lee socket, well, basically placement of the pump block top on the CPU when we're talking about mounting mechanism. Almost similar, and it's quite solid. I do have to say it's quite solid. When we're talking about that mounting mechanism in particularly, even though the AIO goes with two connections and presses in 2 points on the processor, it kind of goes in a way that you'll be most likely seeing a lower performance, right? But then when you go with 4-point connection, when we're talking about attaching the block to the processor and motherboard, you get much better connection towards both and better performance. But I'm going now into some discussion that we can discuss later on, or some other video or whatever. But what I wanted to say, they created something different compared to the past gen, what they had, and it's affordable. It actually goes 128 euros on their official website, web shop, and that's quite solid price, I do have to say, when we take everything into consideration. So let's start. We're having new type of fans. These are VALKYRIE B12. You have three of them. Airflow is 81.68 CFM. Static pressure at maximum is 4.0 millimeters H2O. And fan speed goes from 800 to 2150 RPMs. It has fluid dynamic bearing. Maximum noise level is 30.5 decibels. Of course, it has addressable RGB. Material is PBT plus PC, and it's standard connection, 4-pin for PWM and 3-pin addressable RGB with a Y splitter, which is good. Length of the fan cable is 650, but the cool thing is when you connect all of those, they actually come pre-connected. They are daisy chained already inside the box and installed to your AIO. The only thing that you need to do is connect additional cable that is proprietary, because they did it like so. That cable splits into 3-pin 5 volts addressable RGB and 4-pin PWM cable. 58.64 times 56.28 times 3.3 millimeters for the cold plate dimensions. Then we have the radiator is aluminum with dimensions of 120 times 397 times 27, and the pump speed goes from 800 to 2800 RPMs. Connector is also 4-pin PWM and 3-pin addressable RGB, and you have an addressable RGB pump block top. The tube length is 450 millimeters, and the TDP is up to 300 watts, which is insane. But one thing I do have to say, now this AIO, apart from some other compatibility lists, because it covers all Intel and AMD sockets, so you don't have to worry about it except Threadripper. But apart from everything that I mentioned, the tubes are going from the top part of your processor. And when we're talking about mounting it on AMD, you can't mount it any other way, because when you place those mounting brackets, and I'm just going to tell you how to mount it, you have to remove the original retention brackets from AMD motherboard, then you use the original screws and use the new retention brackets from VALKYRIE, and on those you use 4 locking nuts, 2 retention plates that go sideways, and then you mount the pump block top on it. Tubes go on top. You have 3 tube clips that you place, and really looking nice, because it doesn't cover 24-pin if you want to have it visible and you have a custom sleeved cable. It doesn't cover the rams, it doesn't cover the pump in any other way, so it looks quite nice and quite clean, I do have to admit. Now the pump block top has something else. You can remove the cover and rotate it. Well, basically it's magnetically attached to the top, but you can rotate it depending on the orientation of the pump. So if you're not aiming for AMD and you go with some other Intel, for instance, you can rotate the pump and then rotate the cover, which is outstanding. But there's another thing, and another cool catch actually. If you take a closer look at the bottom part of the plastic cover that covers up the pump block top, you actually have the possibility to reroute the cable beneath the plastic, and you have 4 openings, one on each corner, to reroute the cable in the direction you desire to go, to make a seamlessly looking case build without any additional or unnecessary cables that much visible. Because usually when you have some, I'm talking about some AIOs, not all, if they don't have that, you have to reroute the cable somehow through near the rams or anything similar to that, and they're visible near the AIO, they don't hide properly or whatever, and this is actually quite nice, I do have to admit. So mounting it, apart from the pump block top that I already mentioned, is straightforward. You just place your radiator at the top, because you can place it on the front, but you have to revert the fans, and that is totally unnecessary work. If you have space at the top, just place it at the top, because the pump is in the bottom, so it doesn't have any additional air blocked inside. But you have to check the performance. Now, as you can see, it really looks quite clean, I do have to say. The tubes do go a bit high, but when you place the tube clips, they actually hold the tubes in a proper position, so you don't get any unnecessary blockage for the fans, right? So everything is clean, you don't have to worry about that. The thing is, I tested the V360 Lite in their new case VK02, and I placed the X12 fans on the side as an intake. Those are intake fans. 3 on the exhaust, 140 at the back, but I'll go into more details regarding the case in a couple of days. I just wanted to do separated videos because the AO is performing outstanding and the case is brilliant as well. But do stay tuned and don't forget to check that video later on. Let's go to the benchmarks now for the AAO. So as I stated, 7900 X3D with VALKYRIE V360 LITE. We're having CPU going at 84 degrees in AIDA 64, clock speed 4825 MHz, and the GPU is totally relevant in this case, but it's 52 degrees, but it's totally unnecessary to discuss the GPU. But the fascinating thing, so I think I covered like 20, 30, 40 AAOs, I'm not quite even sure anymore. Every time the idle temperature with this CPU was 50. 49, 48, eventually some AIOs idled this CPU at 43, 44, right? With this AIO, it was idling at 37.2, which honestly, it's really impressive. And this is why we get these type of results in Cinebench. So it starts at 77 degrees, 5000 megahertz, 26,396 Cinebench points, the first score. And then what else we have is 76 to 77 degrees, 4975 only touching once, majority is 5000, and then we have 5025 megahertz clock speed. And on average, I can say clearly that it scores 26,380 points, 70, 80 points, which in this scenario, this is outstanding. I mean, to be honest, easy installation, okay, a bit different tube rerouting, which is a bit odd, I do have to admit, but you get loads of space here for visibility, and that is quite nice when we're talking about building yourself a PC where it isn't only a workstation, but it's or gaming station. It's something that also gives visual pleasure. Then we have a quite interesting pump block top. Now let me just show you this. So it's magnetic. It has, I think these are 12 pins at the back that actually connect to this part right here, and it lights up. It has a quite nice design because we're having VALKYRIE logo, just logo, no lettering, with mirror effect. Then we're having some copper chip with some components, and it does give that industrial look. It's really nice, and I'm really digging the whole design. And it's easy as it is. Just do it like so. Here we go. Did it light up? Yeah, it did. So I mean, I have no words. I was checking it out at Computex, but you can't bench test it over there to see the actual performance, and I can't compare if they had some other CPU. I can't compare it to anything else since I'm constantly using this one to give more comparisons. So this is a big thumbs up to Valkyrie with the price range, with everything all together. So PC Crazy approved badge, and since we're having all of these features that I mentioned, PC Crazy performance badge as well, because the price is nice, the performance is good, and well, the visual aspect is also there, but that doesn't go into performance, that goes into approved badge. So yeah, those two badges without a doubt. I can't say this one is the best because it isn't, let's be honest, but it definitely performs outstandingly good with the price, and that's what we're after. That's what you're after, isn't it? So you have it in black and white version, 128 euros, and you can check out the links in the description, because I'll link it directly to Valkyrie's web shop, so you can eventually go and check out their other products. If you maybe for some reason don't like this pump block top, you want to switch it up to something else, it's all up to you guys. I'll leave it up to you to choose and to go with what you wish. And finally, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, click the notification bell, because more cool content is coming daily, I guess. Yeah, so you don't want to miss it. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.